Hi, I just got done working out. Don't mind the hair. That's why it's like that. Anyway, I've been doing some reading ever since I ended high school, and it's kind of a weird phenomenon for me because I wasn't really much into reading when I was in high school. It wasn't really a concept for me. I just thought books were boring. Really didn't really didn't like it. Didn't see a point in it. But ever since I've ended the high school, there's like in my thinking, I've done like 200% more reading than I ever had done before. Like I remember doing some reading when I was like in fourth grade or something, but that would be the last time I was interested in them. Uh, anyway, I'm gonna start with the books that I've read during these past 2 years. I know it's not that much compared to others, but this is a lot for me. So starting off, first one I have is the Dune series. It goes from the original Dune to Dune, God Emperor of Dune. I've done a whole other video on it that hopefully will come out. I still haven't started editing it, but from what I remember, it was shit, and I might actually do another video on it in about a year because I didn't cover everything. And that video that I'm saying was shit was about 30 minutes of me talking about the subject. Well, the lore or something. I didn't really do a good job. Anyway, I got interested in Dune because I saw the movie. Then I think a few days ago. Well, not now. No, it's been a month. It's been a month. I watched the first movie after I'd read the first book, and I, there's like a lot of stuff missing. Like it just doesn't show a lot of stuff. It's a bunch of nothing, and you have no context for it. It's, it's kind of the same thing with the second one, but my opinions for that one is just it's a bit colorful, and I kind of laughed every time the fetus showed up. It was like, mother. Oh yes, we should. It's like I did a little chuckle there, um, and besides that, doesn't really take the same amount of time as it does in the books. And it is a good movie. Just not taking the books into account, it just doesn't say a lot. It just shows you a lot, and some of the things are just kind of weird. Okay, I think I should stop talking about that. I've been rambling on about the movie, so I'll just move on to the next books I've read. I did a whole another video on it. It's not comprehensive, but if you like talking about Dune, or you've read the books and want, I don't know, if you want to hear my opinions, I'll link it down below. Because when I finished reading Dune, I was searching videos everywhere for like book recommendations and just like anybody who wouldn't talk about Dune, and I came to some of PewDiePie's old videos, and he was talking about Dune, and I really like that, and that's why I'm doing this. Anyway, moving on from Dune, I'm just gonna put it on the ground. All right. Next, I have Foundation, and by Foundation I mean the whole series. Look at this. Look. I read these in about a week. It was, I loved it. I love this series. The first one is about, well, the Foundation is about a math problem that says, well, first thing first. The Foundation happens. It's a sci-fi. It happens like thousands of years in the future, and there's this one guy called Harry Stelson who figures out a equation that says that the Empire, they have a Galactic Empire. The Galactic Empire is going to fall down, and everything is going to go to barbarism in less than 1,000 years. And he basically establishes a foundation so that they can lessen the amount of time for that barbarism to form, because he does the equation first. And for the first one, I think the period of barbarism, they call the Dark Age too, is around 10,000 years, but the Foundation lessens that to around 1,000 years. And the first book it just basically sets up the Foundation in a planet, and they basically try to establish a colony in that planet, and they're mostly made out of scientists, and you just get to see how they do things. And later on, there's a group of people who threaten them because the Empire is falling down. And hold on, maybe I should move my mic a bit this way. The Empire is falling. the emperor is falling down, and yeah, everybody's going to barbarism. And since the Foundation is a source of technology, they want to conquer it. So honestly, it's kind of hazy. They wanted to conquer it. Either way, they figure out a way to do things, and it basically just tackles crises that come upon the Foundation. And there's a whole philosophy that as long as people are what's it called? As long as people are incentivized to do something, they will do it. And because of that, when taken into a majority, like a huge group of people, you can always predict where a population would go. And this is what covers basically the first book, Foundation. The first one just basically deals with how the Foundation is set up and everything. And the second one is Foundation and Empire. And the Foundation basically goes into war with the Empire that they were from. And I won't spoil anything, but in these books, wars and every conflict isn't won by, getting a gun out and going to people and it's like, hey, I'm gonna start a big pew pew war with you. It's more about politics and how people can resolve things without actually using violence. It's more of a political jumbo mumbo. And yeah, that's pretty good until the mule comes in, and I won't really spoil anything because he basically ruins that ideal. The first one sticks to it. The second one, at the end of the book, the mule ruins it. Okay, he's like a big character. I won't spoil anything, but there is a twist, and it's pretty obvious. Okay, moving on to the third one, and it's called Second Foundation. So as it turns out, Harry Skelton actually established two foundations. The foundation that we were following from the first book to the second book, and another one at the other edge of the galaxy. And this one is basically focused on the mule because he takes over the Foundation. He breaks the rules of the equation, and he takes over the first Foundation, and he's like an overlord of the galaxy now. And he's trying to find the second Foundation because the second Foundation can stop them. And that's basically it. I won't spoil it. If I do, because if I go any further, it'll just spoil it. It won't be as fun. Okay, now we get to the shit books in the Foundation series. We have Foundation's Edge, which begins very well. I like the beginning, but the ending is kind of convoluted. I don't particularly like Galaxia. I don't like Bliss. It's like it's just I don't know. It just kind of puts the whole thing on the back burner. It's like the whole equation, the whole stuff that was set up in the first book. They're just gonna put it on the back burner. And the fifth one, I think, is unnecessary. The characters in it are shit. Okay, the writing, there's some cool planets and stuff, and I kind of like how they tackle different environment, how humans would tackle different environments. Like there's a very cold planet, and there's like a planet where it's all ocean, but only one island, and that's pretty cool. But I don't know, the characters, I fucking hate the characters, and the concept of Galaxia is just stupid to me. And they don't give a reason. Well, Isaac Asimov, in the introduction, says he didn't want to write this book. He didn't want to write these two books. He didn't want to write them, and they turn out shit. I just don't like them. That's it. Okay, moving on from this one to hold on. A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin. So I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who actually know the story of this. If you don't know, it was a really popular series back in the early 2010s. And I picked it up because everybody said it was shit. But I enjoy it. And also, I watch a lot of videos of Alt-Shift-X explaining the lore and everything, then that just made me interested about it more. So I've read the first one. I won't spoil it. It's a great story. You can watch a TV show. That's how I got into it. I watched the first episode, didn't really care for it, then went on to YouTube to do, get an explanation. Found Alt Shift X. He told he kind of explained it. I was like, oh, that's interesting, and I just kind of started reading it. And I finished the first 2 books. I'm reading the third one, and yeah, I don't really want to spoil anything. And there's another reason. I can't explain anything. It will be a freaking nightmare if I try to explain anything because there's so many things going on, and I just don't want. It's too complicated. All right. Now, moving on to I, Robot, also by Isaac Asimov. So this one had a movie starring Will Smith. The movie is nothing like the books. This is more of a... Oh, I should have probably said this about the Foundation series too. So, the Foundation series is just a bunch of short stories. They're like chapters. Let me... Oh, hold on. It's like, they have parts. Like, the first part is the psychohistorians. And it basically just bounces around like hundreds of years, just exploring different parts of the Foundation, because it happens over 1,000 years, and it just takes a bit of time for you to establish, and that was the part of the original plan. It also had the Foundation also has a Apple TV series. All I've heard about is negative stuff, so if you want to check that out, it's not gonna be like the books. Anyway, I, Robot. So it had a movie. It's nothing like that. Most of Asimov's stuff, from what I can gather, is a collection of short stories set in a environment. And this one is set, I don't know, maybe like 500. It's not that long. It's basically 2050 or something that this is set in, and it just basically explores what would happen if robots were a thing in the real world. And it takes the perspective of a person just recalling stories about what rules and regulation were put in place. There's 3 major rules that comes up in this book, and they're pretty synonymous with sci-fi and robots. Well, everywhere. They're called the 3 rules of robotics. Asimov's 3 rules of robotics. First, don't harm any humans. Second, obey humans. Third, protect yourself. So those are like the 3 rules for the robots, and this basically explores how that applies to robots and humans as their technology keeps getting better and better. There's literally a story in here in which the robots basically sabotage people. Like, they have the whole Earth under control, and basically the whole thing is the first rule is never harm a human, right? But they think of as a collective of all humans as the humans, so it doesn't really matter if you poke someone with a needle. This is not a good analogy, because they'll end up living, and if that needle, if you just poke someone with a needle and it ends up helping a lot of people in the long run, it doesn't really matter. You can just do that and just move on, right? So yeah, a lot of great stuff. The characters can be stiff with Asimov's writing. Like I said, I don't really like Foundation's Edge and Foundation and Earth. The main reason for these is because they only explore like 1 or 2 sides of a conflict. And this one doesn't even have a conflict. It's just people trying to find Earth. Okay. Moving on. Okay. Another book I read was Plato. It is a fucking boring book. This is boring. It's so goddamn boring. I only got done with it. I picked this up like 2 years ago. I got done with it maybe 6 months ago. It is so goddamn boring. I do not give a shit about the man in his cave and the shadows. It is so boring. Philosophy is so goddamn boring. But I got through it. It's like I got an audiobook for it and just kind of listened to it while I was in the car. It's so boring. Okay, next one is The Hobbit. I have like a cool cover for it. It's very nice. It's like, I don't know, it's just like, I got it for pretty cheap on Amazon. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have read this. It was my first time reading it. I've never seen the Lords of the Rings, like the movies or anything. So it was a great experience. I see why people say, "Oh, The Hobbit is really such a good book." And I had this on Audible too. So the songs, they were great. Just like I got to hear the songs, they were awesome. Can't really say much more about it. And yeah, that's about that for The Hobbit. Great book. Alright, moving on to my last book, and coincidentally, the first book I read, Shadow of the Conqueror, since high school. I should add there, I should add a bit there. This is the first book I read after high school, and it was made by Shadowversity, YouTuber. Yeah, YouTuber. I'll link his thing down below, his YouTube channel. It's a great book. It's been a very long time since I read it, but I don't really remember a lot of stuff about it. But it's basically about a guy who did a lot of terrible things and now he's given a second chance. That is a big generalization, but I'm pretty sure he already has videos on it, and he'd do a much better explanation on it. So yeah, I'll just let you explore it for yourself. I like the book. You know, it was my first one, and I'm still reading. Okay, moving on. That was the last one, and the main reason why I wanted to do this video was because I'm in a slump right now. I don't really want to read anymore. I've started reading a lot of other books, but I've never really finished them. There's like two main ones that I'm reading right now. It's The Witcher and Game of Thrones, the third book, Storm of Swords. And I don't know, I think this makes my heart a bit more clear, and I can just try to enjoy reading books a bit more. I might actually do updates on this, maybe monthly or every 2 months or something. And if you want to, read the books I'm reading, I'm gonna be reading The Witcher, The Last Wish. Like I said before, Sword of Storms, Game of Thrones. Although I don't think I'll be able to finish this in like a month or two. I'm like at page 337, and I'm really getting sick of this book. It's like, oh, interesting, but it's like they just keep going places. The characters rarely interact with each other, and it's like that's good and all, and you get to see how people affect each other, but I don't know. I need to be in a mood to read Game of Thrones. Anyway, okay, those are the two that I'm currently reading. I might read Asimov's The Stars Like Dust, and just a sec. I'm also reading The Fifth Science by Exubrum. He's another great YouTuber. You could check him out. I'll link him down below. And that's about it. See ya.